Well, lots in this budget, which the Chancellor says is a one-nation budget. I'm joined now by two think tank directors, Phillip Blond from ResPublica and Emran Mian from the Social Market Foundation. Thanks to you both for being with us. Emran Mian first. One of the big centrepieces of this budget were the welfare cuts, that freeze on working age benefits, the changes to tax credits. What do you make of that?
Well, I suppose in one sense the Chancellor could say he's led up the pace of reductions in spending. So on welfare he was previously targeting £12 billion of savings by 2017-18. He'll now get there about a couple of years later. Nevertheless, when you look at the effect of these changes across households, there are some very tough results.
Of course, the people affected won't mind how long it takes to get there, because when they feel the pinch, they'll feel the pinch.
Well, that's it. So we were doing some analysis today looking at different kinds of households, and it seems like if you're in a household that has two earners, then the benefits you get from the higher living wage that the Chancellor announced today will probably mean you come out ahead despite the changes to tax credits. But if you're a single earner household, so if you're a lone parent family, for example, it's very difficult to see how you make up the difference.
Phillip Blond, you have pushed for the government to move towards less of a welfare state and encourage a working culture. Do you think the measures announced today will do that?
Well, I think let's credit where credit's due. A national living wage is a superb development and reform, and at such a high level, and then going to £9 by 2020, that's a great welcome win. The real kind of interest there, as you see, is gradually workers being incentivised across the spectrum, people taken out of tax. The real problem, I think, is that for those, as Imran says, there's a great penalty for family type. So if you're a one-parent family with kids, it's very hard to see how you can ever get ahead. And also, if you are on benefits, where are the assets? Where are the pathways that will generate work for you? Because in many areas, there's lots of people who want to work. They're desperate for jobs, but they're just not there. And there's yet to be a ladder sort of laid down for them, and the market won't provide that in those areas. But overall, I think this is to be enormously welcomed. We've actually started to shift the balance back between capital and labour, and we're starting to turn the ship slightly, and capital's been running away with all of the returns for literally almost a generation. So it's very welcome to see that finally we're going to actually get well, not quite a living wage, because it's not calculated according to what a family would live on, but a much higher national minimum wage.
Of course, the problem with that is whether or not employers will be able to afford to pay it, particularly in the time frame that the Chancellor set out, and not just the private sector, but the public sector too. Will that offset the reduction in spending cuts if they're having to pay people more?
Well, here's the thing, arguably he's actually lowered the corporation tax to not just the one of the most competitive, but perhaps the most competitive. So there's real gains there. There's also gains, I think, for businesses through paying their workers more in terms of lower rates of turnover, etc. And even privately, business people are saying to me at the IOD, actually we need to pay people more. And actually the IOD, that's often the Institute of Directors, that's often viewed as more right-wing than the CBI, has come out in support of this increase. So actually business can afford it, and I think that where we do have issues are around small businesses.
Okay. I suppose what's quite
very briefly, I'm sorry, we're very short of time.
The Chancellor doesn't seem to trust that businesses would make these decisions on their own.
So
he is requiring them to pay more, and he's also requiring them to pay more for apprenticeships as well.
Emran Mian, Phillip Blond, I'm afraid we are out of time. Thanks very much. Some mixed views there, and no doubt that picking apart of this budget and the commentary will continue for some time yet. Clive.
Alex, many thanks for that. Alex Forsyth there at Westminster.